Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. The video about Her Majesty and her history is coming along nicely, but in the meantime I've got some exciting news. If you've been watching my Instagram account this week, you'll see that I've bought another 80-inch Series One Land Rover. And I bought this without seeing it. So what could possibly go wrong? I see series bits. And it hasn't got an engine or any running gear. I'm also told that the chassis, which you can see on the trailer there, is possibly beyond redemption. Now, if you were watching my Instagram stories this week, you will have seen that we unloaded all of the parts for this new old Series 1 at the bottom of my driveway. And today, I'm going to go through all those parts in a short video, see what we have bagged. Now, outside today, you can see Her Majesty is parked. This is what a 1951 80-inch Land Rover looks like. And the interesting thing about the one I bought is that the registration document doesn't have a date on it. So, as we look at the bits, we're going to work out if there's any clues as to what year it might be. We know it's a 1600, or it was a 1600, so it's definitely pre-1951. And I'm already concerned this could end up being a bit like an episode of Storage Wars, when they buy a locker unseen full of stuff and then try and work out whether it was worth what they paid for it. So we're going to look at the arguably important stuff first. Here is the chassis, and I think you'll agree it's not worth saving at all. It is so crusty. It's completely falling apart. I dare not even think where I would start if I was going to weld this up. I mean, look at it. Complete crustiness. There's no way I can keep this. I'm just going to get rid of it. Is there anything I can salvage on it? Maybe, well, there's an early steering column there with the little box. That's probably worth saving and reconditioning. I can probably, there's also some pedals which can be rejuvenated. That's probably worth a little bit. There's a cylinder, and probably the most exciting thing on the chassis are these galvanized grab handles, which I will definitely take off before dumping it. So there we go. I'm on a lost leader if we're looking at the chassis. And I've read that the chassis number sometimes appears on the driver's side engine mount, but I've had a look and I can't see anything, and it's probably rusted away anyway. So moving on, we've got some original radiator and cooling system. That's interesting. A brass top. I'm not sure whether that's worth anything. The bulkhead. Bulkhead's interesting as well because it's not the moulded variety which you would expect to have seen circa 1950. This has got straight edges. I'm even wondering whether this is a later repro, but as you can see, it's completely gone in the corners and on the top. I'm not sure whether it's worth anything, worth saving. Perhaps you could leave a comment if you think it is. Then we've got the rear tub. The rear tub's in quite good condition, really. You can see it's fairly straight. It's got all the galvanized cappings on it. It must be worth at least 100 quid, if not more. I spent absolutely ages looking for these chains, these early attachments, which are very rudimentary, which I'd lost from Her Majesty. It's worth it, this purchase, just to get those, but yeah, I reckon that that's probably a good buy. As to whether there's a market for it over here, I don't know. Over the years, it's clearly had quite a lot of paint skim over the top. It's registered as a blue vehicle. It's obviously also been green at some stage. And it also came with the seat box. These things aren't original, someone's added those. The original one would have put down in there. That's all seized up. The aluminium is okay, that's probably got some value to it. And we've got a rusty rear seat bench which can go straight in the bin because that's all seized up and it wasn't original to the car anyway. Just to show you inside Her Majesty, that's what the class should look like on the underseat storage. These are wings which have got the indicator at the front here, or the side light I should say. So this is probably looking 1950-51. Both of them look straight from a distance, but they've got holes in them. And when you look underneath, you can see that there is some patching that's been done in various places. It's obviously had a bit of a heavy life. This one's a bit worse. You can see that that's been refabricated under there. What do you reckon? I think the wings are probably worth 100 quid or 200 quid. Now, inside the garage are the bits that I want to keep out of the elements, and we've got here the front face of the car. You can see that there's some later additions being added there which can be removed. It's obviously had some indicators put in there or side lights, but it's nice and straight. It's been cleaned up a bit. That must be worth 100 quid at least. And it also comes with one of these grills, and these are pretty rare in themselves nowadays. So that's worth a couple of 100 quid, I reckon. Pleased with that. And then we've got the hatches for the seat box. There's two of those. That one's been cleaned off already. This one is the passenger side one. It's got some paint on there, but that'd be easy to clean off. Got the original pocket there for documents on the inside. Looks fairly straight. Also got the hinges, and certainly that one's got the bracket for the front. That one's missing this bit here. But yeah, desirable parts. And then we have the windscreen. This is quite a rare bit, I think. You can see on it that it says Reggie. Maybe this was the car's name. Blue paint underneath, some bronze green on top. This is an alley panel that can be cleaned off. This is galvanized, although it looks like it's been painted with some Galva Froid paint, which would have kept the rust at bay. Modern windscreen wipers, get rid of those. It's got the brackets on it on the inside. It's got these bits which you hang the doors on. Fairly good condition, really. Mirror's broken, but I think that's a later mirror anyway. It's obviously got a later windscreen wiper system on there. Looks pretty seized up and useless. Not sure that's worth anything at all, but the frame and the glass are good. It's a good spare part. I'm guessing a couple of 100 quid. Then we've got a lovely straight bonnet. This has been cleaned up. Paint's been taken off it. It's one without a spare tyre mount, which is good because Her Majesty's got a spare tyre mount on there at the moment, and the spare one that I had already has got this spare wheel mount too. So this is a nice clean one, cleaned up. It's got the hinges on. It's got these little brackets. I've seen these ones, these bits where you rest the windscreen in a box too. It must be 100 quid at least, if not more. Came with some hoops. Always worth having hoops. And it's got a tailgate, and the tailgate is surprisingly straight given its age. It's a bit battered down the bottom, but this bit here, which has normally got a big ding in it from the tailgate landing on the tow hitch, is straight. On the other side, a little bit dinged up, but the galvanized metal, whoop, the galvanized metal is all good. It's got the hinges, it's got the attachments, it's got the little pigtail brackets for the chains on that side. As a spare part, again, it's got to be worth 50, 100 quid, probably more. I'm not very good on prices. And then we've got the doors. Two of these, obviously. Again, the galvanized bit seems okay. The alley part is nice and straight. Looks like the catches are working. They don't go all the way through. There's no exterior door handles. So that suggests to me that this car is pre-51, possibly 50. You would have had to reach in through the top half of the door to open the door. This one, unfortunately, is missing its hinges. That's a bit of a shame. The other one has got its hinges on. You can see there's two there. Obviously, whoever owned this in the past got fed up of reaching through, so they put what looks to be a modern door handle on the outside, which obviously isn't in keeping with the car. But as far as a door panel goes, that one's quite straight and definitely salvageable. As spare parts, gotta be worth 100, 200 quid, I don't know. Leave a comment if you've got any input on this. We've also got the transmission tunnel, which seems to be all there, still with some soundproofing on the inside, and the instrument binnacle, although the panel itself is missing. Again, as far as spare parts go, they have some value, undoubtedly. And we've also got this interesting fuel tank. It's very sturdy. It's clearly a later design. I don't think it's an original design. Certainly when you look at what Her Majesty has on her, it's got a sort of pressed design on this and a separate cradle holding the fuel tank in. Whereas on this one, the mount is integral to the fuel tank. It actually looks like a much better design, much stronger, and I'm even wondering that I might do that up and put that on Her Majesty, because Her Majesty's tank has seen better days. And these are the door tops. Now, I think the door tops of an 80 are quite rare. I don't know, if you think so, then leave a comment. They've got slightly different designed bits here. This is certainly what you would expect to see on a 1951, like Her Majesty. As you can see here, this is Her Majesty's door top. Perspex on Her Majesty is not too bad, whereas that is definitely shot. You'd probably want to change the perspex, and interestingly, this one, the perspex seems to slide from the front. Not seen that before. Not sure why you'd want it to slide from the front and not the back. The attachment bracket on the second door is, I think, one of the earlier designs from the late 40s. Again, you can leave a comment if you disagree with me, which makes me think that possibly they're not a matching pair, although clearly that looks like it's had some welding done to put that bracket on. Nice straight corner there, not so straight on that side. It's all been painted with Galva Fouad, and as you can see on this side, on the inside, they did have the flap opening originally, which on this one certainly has been closed up, which would suggest again that this door comes from the earlier model. This door top probably from a later one, because it doesn't have it. But useful parts to have, because they're tricky to get hold of nowadays, and I would have thought they have a value of 100 or more, £200, who knows. Leave a comment if you have any ideas. And lastly, we've got a set of blue vinyl. This is quite interesting. Blue vinyl shovel back seats. They're not original. These are actually early Exmoor trim. You can see the very early Exmoor trim tag on there. Early Exmoor trim items. They're all in good condition, and the shovel backs themselves have all the attachments. Now, I know if you want to buy a set of these new, it's probably about £300 for the seats and the seat backs, and I think I've seen these attachment. These are galvanized original ones, but I think I've seen modern ones going for about 75 quid for a pair. So that's not bad for a set of parts. And that's pretty much everything. So as you can see, it's not a complete Land Rover by a long stretch. And even as a project, it's got some major hurdles to overcome. First, not least, the chassis and the bulkhead. So I think what I'm going to do is price up what a new chassis would be in terms of cost, and also consider whether it's the sort of project where you could put a later, arguably stronger Series 2 running gear and engine into it. I know it's not going to be original, but let's face it, it's not an original car to start with. The alternative is that I have got myself a big bundle of spare parts, some of them quite desirable. What do you think I should do? Leave a comment. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, add the notifications, and I will see you soon.